Yeah, what's up, everybody? I'm here at the LA Forum in Inglewood, California, and today is Sunday, November 23rd, and we're here for Sunday service. A lot of folks wearing Yeezy apparel and other Kanye-related things. Seeing a lot of the culture coming out in a lot of different versions of all of us who are magnetized to this human channel named Kanye West. Yeah, I just want to share my process of coming here. It's been wild, man. I was so surprised when my mom posted a video on her Instagram talking about basically how she was moved by this man's album.
Jesus is King.
She's been having in the past year a real kind of quote unquote come to Jesus moment. And I think it's beautiful. And there's a lot of people that say a lot of different things about Kanye. And I saw this, I think the actor's name is Michael Rappaport. And I saw him just talking the most negative, unkind, pessimistic, harsh, reductionist perspective that I'd ever heard. And he's talking to Kanye saying who told you could sing and stuff like that.
Stop.
Anybody who's saying stuff like that is just missing the point. And they're ultimately not connected to their heart. So yeah, what am I doing here? This album, Jesus is King. Wow. It really blew me away the first time I heard it. I took a couple days before I went back to it and listened to it again. I've had a relationship with the human reference point that many know as Jesus, and I more particularly referred to as Yeshua, since I was really young in this incarnation. I remember actively talking to him around 7 or 8, definitely by 9. But I remember I pulled my family's cat's tail, and my mom suspected that I did so. And she's like, "Is there anything you want to tell me?" And I'm like, "No." And then I felt compelled to confess after she told me that God is always watching me, which in a nutshell definitely got in my head as a form of worry and blame and guilt and shame around just being a human being. You know, all the ways that a human being fluctuates and oscillates. This is way before I found yoga. And so I started to develop a particularly negative relationship with not Christ, but with the church and the institution of, the religion of Christianity. And then I find yoga, and yoga really summed up and kind of glued all the pieces together that I found while I was on my esoteric, occult, anatomy seeking journey. And now I'm here, and I'm also going to be seeing Sadhguru later this month for his inner engineering program. And yeah, there's something really profound happening in terms of what Ye is doing, helping people connect to Christ, connect to Yeshua's teaching in a way that is basically non-denominational. It's non-traditional. It's a non-traditional format of connecting with the truth of the light, or as Adida says, the bright. And I found in my journey, it's helpful to find ways to articulate concepts and subject matter that has been overly articulated and overly talked about and overly saturated in other people's opinions and stuff like that. Because once you get to something that 100 different people have given their opinion on, if it's right or wrong or good or bad, it's really difficult to get to the truth of it, because it's you have to go through so many different people's and perspectives, subjective opinion on its goodness or badness. Neither here nor there right now. The album, Jesus is King, is a beautiful, beautiful composition and collection of sounds that it's a real beautiful mix between this modern, futuristic, synthesizer-driven Mike Dean soundscape, but also that gospel sound that Kanye came into this musical, popular architecture through. The song Jesus Walks always struck me as this tremendous piece of medicine that I came back to several times along my journey at different points, even as I started feeling like I couldn't get to the light through this character that was Yeshua because of how Christianity warped and contorted the teachings of Yeshua. This is part of my testimony with Christ. I had some friends that basically told me that a Muslim friend of mine was going to hell because he wasn't Christian. And that was when I stopped being Christian, which was in 2012. It just didn't make sense to me because I knew Christ. I knew Jesus Christ. And what they were saying was what Christians believed. I was like, fuck that. And even like the whole idea of like, I can't cuss, I can't say these certain words, and I can't behave in certain ways, and you know, all these ideas, it locked me up in my mind. It locked me up in this prison of belief around how I was supposed to act, and if I didn't act in this way, then I wasn't gonna be loved by God. This shit fucked me up, bro. And I lost touch of my honesty because I became so addicted to editing my beliefs and my thoughts and my emotions and my expressions around what I thought was okay or approved or able to be approved of or sanctioned. And then I actually interfaced with Yeshua. Yeshua came to me. I woke up in the middle of the night, December 27th, 2016 at 3:30 a.m. And I woke up and I just felt emotion. My ears started ringing. I hear this voice in my ear, and it wasn't coming from inside my head. It was as if a man had laid down next to me and whispered into my ear. And I knew that man's voice was the voice of this being named Yeshua, who many call Jesus, who is the prime example of what is the Christ, what is the crystalline, prismatic aspect of humanity. And along the way, I had built this relationship with Archangel Michael. That's another thing. So I'm here with Kanye now. And my brother Hassan Kafaf is that friend that I met in 2011. That in 2012, these Christian friends of mine said that he was going to hell because he was Muslim. I was like, y'all are lost and confused. It didn't mean that I wasn't lost because of my own way, but I just knew that I didn't resonate with what they were saying anymore. So now we're here with Kanye, and it's like he's taken his gospel, he's taken the gospel, and he's made it in a way that is palatable and accessible to everybody, to anyone with ear holes. And he puts it in these parables, in these metaphors, that it feels like you're listening to his inner child express itself more than a grown man married to Kim Kardashian. And like all of his trials and tribulations, you know, I remember when I heard the title, my beautiful, dark, twisted fantasy. I remember being like, man, he's lost. He's going all the way. But I was also listening to it and I'm like, man, he's not lost in being lost. He's finding lostness and he's embracing lostness, and he's just like, hey, it's dark, it's beautiful, and it's twisted, and it is a fantasy. And it's like he had to experience that and explore that in order to let go of it fully. And, you know, now we're here 9 years later, 2019, and Christ has come back into his life in a way that I think he's sharing in a really profound way, artistically, commercially, and metaphysically. So, where are my mauves? Let's see what it has in store. Sunday service.
What's number one? You gotta watch. Number two, you gotta watch.
grew up on tours with really high-level musicians. Rock and roll, though, nothing like what I just experienced. It feels like the second coming of Christ. This feels like a perfect thing to be happening in 2019. Old paradigms shattered, a bridge of dimensions. Not to get too esoteric, but for all those who attuned to the teachings and noticings of Rudolf Steiner, which are noticings of the Akashic field in a relatively objective manner. They're still through Steiner's lensing, and that's got its own Westernisms to it, but in terms of Lucifer and Ahriman's rule and role in the transition from Pisces to Aquarius, those who have the eye to see, Brother Ye's role in shifting the electromagnetic disposition. I mean, there was a lot of folks in there that, were, prominently externally focused, and a lot of it, I just made a video about being horizontally versus vertically oriented. But it's like in this context, it's like, hey, not too bad. There were several moments where the lighting and the music and the tone straight up the Holy Spirit, the presence of God. And I love that Ye is like a part of a band. I love that, he's not up there, but, conducting his own thing. And I forgot the dude's name, but he's like this amazing orchestral conductor. And he's really feels like the lead orchestrator. And Ye comes in more as like the poet. And then a couple pastors spoke, which is beautiful. Supplementation of the word, of their own, anatomy of Christ, of their own testimony, of their own parable, of their own learning, of their own lessoning, lessons. And I can't help but notice this component of it as well. I've dreamed about being Ye's apprentice for a while now. I've had dreams. I've had dreams of being in close proximity to Ye since 2013. I had made this beat that I sent my brother Hassan, and he said that he sent it or like played it, and he was in the room or something. And yeah, there's definitely been a storyline in my own subjective perspective of working with him. This feels more and more towards that, more and more close to that. It's kind of pretty much one of my highest dreams, one of my noticings of one of the highest blisses possible. Yeah, and so we're here, trusting, surrendering, allowing, letting go, having faith. Father, may your will be mine. May my will be the Father's will. May I serve the one infinite love light source of all things in the highest way. And may I know more and more Ananda bliss. Jai. Om Namah Shivaya.